Hey there and welcome to a crafting therapy session with Keep Inking Up. My name is Laura Lynn and I'm an independent demonstrator for Stampin' Up in San Antonio, Texas. In this chaotic world, I feel that it is imperative to do something for yourself to maintain your sanity. Personally, I recommend any kind of a hobby like crafting as therapy to do this. You could maybe knit or sew or do woodworking or anything else that interests you. Maybe cooking, I don't know, whatever interests you. My mom, all growing up, I would see my mom knit and sew, and she also did some stained glass, and I think she did, what do you call it, silk flowers. She used to make silk flowers. And then my dad, he always had a workshop, and he always did a lot of woodworking. I have a lot of furniture that he made, and I cherish it so greatly. Anyway, I happen to choose stamping as my crafting therapy, and I've done so for the last 25 years or so. So I invite you to join me in creating something with your hands and your mind with stamps, ink, and paper, and then give it away to someone to let them know that they are seen and loved. In this way, you're not only helping yourself focus on something other than the chaos in the world around you as you create, but you're also helping someone else feel loved. Who wouldn't love getting something in their mailbox other than a bill? I know that I would. So most of the time when I sit down to craft, I am thinking about a particular person. This is another part of my therapy. Taking time to shift my thoughts away from myself and everything that's going on around me and toward another person is healthy. So today I'm thinking about a male family member who has a birthday coming up. So I need to make a card to put in the mail. Due to the increasing cost of postage, I have been challenging myself this past year to create single layer cards or at least low profile cards to save on postage. I'm trying to keep to a one postage stamp card. I am determined not to let the increasing postage cost deter me from mailing my handmade cards. I want to continue this hobby, and I also want to continue to bless others with my hobby. So today I'm going to be using the new branching out bundle from Stampin' Up. Now please keep in mind that you can use whatever products that you happen to have to join in with this therapy. You don't have to have any of the products that I'm using, but if you would like to order anything that I use, I will provide links in the description box below. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that I prefer to use our thick basic white for our card bases. So I'm going to begin with a piece of basic white that is 4 1/4 by 11, scored and folded in half at 5 1/2. Actually, I have a stack of these card bases always ready to go to help me jumpstart with my card making process. And I go over that in previous videos as well. So now let's start using our mind to plan our card. Single layer cards can be a little bit challenging as they do require a little bit of planning. So I have created a mask out of plain copy paper. This is just plain copy paper. Most people have that hanging around. And I used one of the dies from the branching out bundle. Let me grab that here. You can see it's one of these dies. It's the smallest die. So I created that out of plain copy paper. And now I need to stick that down onto my card base. So I'm going to put a little bit of seal on the back of the mask, but I don't want this to permanently stick to my card. So I'm going to use my fingers to just remove some of the sticky. The oils from my skin will kind of remove some of that sticky. And I just want to make sure that I remove enough so it'll still be sticky but not stick on there permanently. And then I'm going to just eyeball it and put it in about in the center of my card. Does that look straight? I think that looks a little crooked. Let's see if I can get that a little bit straighter. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So it's just kind of on there temporarily. And then next I'm going to take the one of the branch images from the stamp set. This is the shorter branch. For some reason I prefer this branch. There's another one that's really cool in here. It's longer. This one is longer and thinner, but for some reason I like this thicker branch. And I'm going to use my early espresso ink. And I am just going to ink up a portion of this branch. I don't need the whole thing, but I want this cluster right here, and I am going to stamp this in a couple of places around my card. I'm going to ink it up again. And I'm stamping off the edge of the mask that I put there in the middle. And because I didn't ink up the whole image, it's not going on the other side of the mask. I don't think I got that inked up really well. The nice thing about photopolymer stamps is you can kind of tell if you've got enough ink that or not. Now I want to add this portion of the branch, but I don't want to get that ink on my card, so I'm going to go ahead and clean my stamp with my Stampin' Scrub. I'm going to scrub, scrub, scrub. Hopefully get that as clean as possible. Wipe that off with my hand. And now I'm just going to use the corner of my ink pad and just ink up this portion of my stamp and add that in a couple more places around my mask. Again, I'm just inking up a portion of it. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll put one more somewhere because I like to do things in odd numbers. That's just kind of a design tip. Odd numbers are pleasing to the eye. Let's see, I think that I'll put it up here. Okay, so I'm done with that stamp, so I'm going to put that ink away. Next, I'm going to bring in Garden Green ink and my pine needle clusters. Now there's two different pine clusters. This one's more spread out and this one's closer together, and they go to each part of these branches. So this closer one goes to this smaller section. They line up just perfectly, you'll see. So I'm gonna do that one, this one, and I did this one down here. And then I'll do the larger cluster of needles, and they again line up with the ends of those parts of the branches. The great thing about photopolymer is you can stamp exactly where you want. You can see right where they're going to land. Now, it doesn't mean I'm always going to line them up perfectly. And remember, this is just a handmade card. It's okay if it's not exactly perfect. And there we go. I apologize if I get my head in the way. Now that looks great. I think that looks absolutely fine, and you could leave it right there, but I want to fluff up my needles a little bit, so I'm going to bring in Shaded Spruce because there is a single image of needles that we can add, and this just makes it a little more fluffy. So I'm going to add the Shaded Spruce, and I'm going to stamp once and twice over each cluster that's already there. And as you can tell, this really just kind of fluffs up these needles. See how different those look than the rest of them? I just think it adds a lot. I saw another fellow demonstrator do this, and I thought it was just fabulous, and so I've been doing it since then, and I think it really does make a difference. And you could use some greens that have more of a contrast if you wanted to see more depth of color. I happen to use Garden Green and Shaded Spruce, but I think if you used, some other greens, it would look even more different, more fluffy. But I'm going to do this for all of the needles, and you can tell I'm stamping full strength and then stamping off because that just kind of adds to the depth of color. And I'm going to do this on each and every one. I know this is taking a while. I apologize that it's taking so long, but I think it does really make a difference. So I think it's worth it. I just think this stamp set is so wonderful. Love these pine needles. And it comes with a cute little pine cone that we're going to add a little later. Almost done. Two more. One more. Okay, I think I got them all. So that's good. All right, so let's see. before I go on to the next step, I want to, let's go make sure we close up this ink pad, because oh my goodness, I'm going to get my fingers in there. So we're going to close that up. And now I want to define that mask a little more. So I have one of our blending brushes. I've talked about this in previous videos. I have, I think, 15 blending brushes, one for each type of color, not one for each ink color, because I can't do that. So this is my light blue ink, and so I'm going to be using Pool Party, which is a light blue that we have. So I'm going to pick up some ink. I've been using this ink pad a lot. I think I need to re-ink it. And then I'm going to come into the middle and I'm going to blend the color out. And what I'm trying to do is define the edge of this mask that I have on here. So I'm just adding a light glow of blue. On this mask. And I know it might not look like we're doing much because this is such a light color, but you'll notice it in a few moments. As soon as we get some more ink on here. And you can add as much ink or as little as you want. It's kind of hard to tell right now. So maybe I'll do is lift it and see. Okay, you can see that's being defined. I got a pretty good defined edge around there. So I'm going to go ahead and lift this up. Now if I don't like it, I can always put it back. That might be hard to do. I might not get it exactly in the same spot, but I think this is going to work out just fine. I'm going to carefully lift it. I don't want to rip my paper. And I think I did a pretty good job. There's a little bit of residue on there, so I have a very old adhesive eraser. My gosh, I think this is from college. I've had this for years. And I'm just going to make sure that I remove all of the stickiness. I can still feel a little bit there. Okay, and so can you see that blue that we added around there just to define that shape of that label? Now keep in mind, this can be absolutely any shape that you have. Just make sure it's big enough to cover the sentiment that you want to use on your project. So I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to bring back in my early espresso ink for my sentiment. As I mentioned, I'm making a birthday card for a male relative. Make sure this opens this way. I'm going to ink up the happy birthday wishes. And then I'm going to stamp that. I apologize if I get my head in the way. Stamp that right there. Okay, that looks pretty good. Stick that aside. Now I want to add some pine cones. And for that, I'm going to use pecan pie. Now, I don't know, did I not bring? Oh my goodness, I don't have my pine cone. Hold on a second. I didn't bring my pine cone, so hold on a second. I need to clean a stamp so I can use one of my blocks. I didn't bring enough blocks over. I'm going to clean my stamp. Put that over there and stick down my pine cone. And I'm going to do pecan pie pine cones. Now I don't even know, what color are pine cones? Are they supposed to be darker or lighter than the branches? I don't know. If you know, let me know in the comments. I'm making it lighter. It is what it is. It'll be fine. Oops, I didn't stamp that very well. Let's try that again. Okay. And again, I like to do things in odd numbers. So 1, 2, we'll put one down here. 3. Should we do 2 more? No, I think that's good. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna close that up, and I want to, you know what, I shouldn't have closed that up. I'm gonna add a little bit more pecan pie. I'm gonna use these little dotty things just to kind of fill in these open white spaces. There's nothing wrong with having white spaces, but I love this little dotty stamp. It just kind of adds a little bit of fun texture. Isn't that cute? Kind of looks like gold specks almost. I'm just lightly stamping these dots. I'll just do a little bit more. Okay, I think that's good. I think that adds just a nice little touch. But one more thing that I was thinking of doing is, I know that you can see that label just fine, but I'm going to add a little bit of line work with my Stampin' Write marker. Now, I am really sad to tell you that these Stampin' Write markers are being discontinued. I'm not sure why. They didn't ask my opinion, but they are getting rid of them, and so they are all the colors of our Stampin' Write markers are on the last chance list, and once they're sold out, they're gone. They'll never be back again. But I like to use my Stampin' Write markers to add a little bit of detail to my projects. So all I'm going to do is add some straight lines, and they're just freehand. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just going around the edge of the, kind of mimicking the edge of the label, and this is just to add a little bit of detail. Again, I like to just add some doodling. If you're into like Zen Tangle, these markers are wonderful. So I'm just adding a little bit of detail, and doesn't that add a lot to that project? I think the a little bit of squiggle in there, because the handmade look really adds a nice touch. So there is my card, and it is all ready to send to my relative. Now, he is an outdoorsy person, so as soon as he opens this, he's probably going to say right away, oh my goodness, those pine cones are the wrong color brown. I don't know. He'll know. I think he'll still really like the card because it is outdoorsy, and I think that he'll really enjoy it. So, thank you again so much for joining me for my crafting therapy today. I hope you decide to go ahead and jump into some crafting therapy yourself. If not today, maybe sometime later. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.